In our first session together, we saw how, despite the fact that secularists are saying that Christianity is on an irreversible slide to extinction, there are encouraging signs of life taking place in churches all over the UK. We also saw as well that it's not just a question on focusing on increasing the numbers and bringing people back into our church buildings, but more important than that, we need to also focus on growing people, on developing people spiritually. Let me ask you a question. Would an investment in people's spiritual lives have the power to reverse the decline of Christianity? American theologian Dallas Willard, he seems to think so. For him, the crux of the matter lies at what is going on inside churches, and what is happening in people's spiritual lives. He believes that many of the problems that contemporary Western churches are experiencing today all comes down to the fact that people have not decided to follow Jesus Christ as Lord. He believes that the biblical mandate to go and make disciples has been lost, and what is needed is a return to that all-important commission. In other words, the growth of healthy churches cannot be separated from the growth of healthy Christians. To grow a church, you must grow the people. In 2014, in an Evangelical Alliance report, they found this in their survey Time for Discipleship. Less than 1/3 of those people claiming to be evangelical Christians set aside a substantial daily time of prayer. Less than 1/3. They also found that 50% of people read their Bibles daily. And only 40% agree that their church does very well in discipling new converts, with only 8% in strong agreement of that. A further 26% felt that they were well equipped by the church to be able to share their faith with others and to witness. And only 31% felt that they had a good experience early on in the first days of becoming a Christian in knowing how to develop their relationship with God and the daily disciplines of reading the Bible and prayer. So if we really want to see Christianity growing and flourishing again here in Wales, the focus needs to be placed on growing and developing people, of making real disciples of Jesus Christ, and not just filling the pews. When it comes to growing a church growth consultant Bob Jackson, he explains that there are 3 important areas of growth that a church needs to focus on: numerical growth, spiritual growth, and also vitality growth. And that means impacting your local community. He explains that if any church focuses on one of those 3 areas to the neglect of the other, that results in an imbalanced and unhealthy church. Although it is really encouraging that the Fresh Expressions movement are seeing new forms of church opening up all over the UK, and people are very encouraged by that, what some leaders are also finding is that increased numbers does not automatically equate to making disciples. In other words, numerical growth is not the same, it's not automatically translated into spiritual and vitality growth. There needs to be a focus on all 3 areas of growth to see healthy growing churches. Robert Warren, the author of Developing Healthy Churches, he agrees with this premise. For him, the primary issue to growing healthy churches in the UK is not about just bringing in new converts alone, as important as that is. For him, the key issue to growing churches lies with the need to grow and develop people, whom he says are the greatest asset in the life of a church. Indeed, this is the mandate that Jesus Christ has entrusted to his church. In Matthew chapter 28, verses 18 to 20, Jesus said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I will be with you always, to the very end of the age." This is the mission that Jesus Christ entrusted to us, his church, to go and make disciples, not converts alone, but real disciples, and teaching them to obey everything that he's commanded us. This is our mission. This is your mission, and it's mine. Now, maybe you're wondering by now, so what is my role in this? Well, your role is vital, because as we've already seen, we not only have a discipleship deficit here in the UK. Through my research, I've also found that we also have a leadership deficit. In other words, there are not many good quality leaders here in Wales, and some of those that we do have cross the border to go work and live in England. And so we also have a leadership deficit. And so what is needed is not only to focus on growing and developing disciples of Christ, but also growing and developing and equipping leaders, lay leaders, just like you. In a recent Evangelical Alliance conference, prominent British church leaders expressed their felt concern over this discipleship crisis. And one of the attendees there said this: "There appears to be a corporate sense that the church has failed in some way in this area, and that many are concerned that we recapture the truth that discipleship is at the heart of the gospel." Missiologist and author Alan Hirsch, he puts it this way. He says, "The church in the West has largely forgotten the art of disciple making and has largely reduced it to an intellectual assimilation of theological ideas. As a result, we have a rather anemic cultural Christianity, highly susceptible to the lures of consumerism. This in turn works directly against a true following of Jesus. In our desire to be seeker-friendly and attractional, we have largely abandoned the vigorous kind of discipleship that characterized early Christianity and every significant Jesus movement since. We can no longer afford to neglect Christ's call to go and make healthy disciples, to teach them to obey everything that he's commanded them. Indeed, the future of the church here in Wales hinges on our obedience, our response to his mandate. If the church in Wales is to grow again, then we know now what we need to do. We need to focus on growing people, on developing disciples, of helping people to grow into the fullness of their humanity, to make healthy Christians, to walk alongside people new to the faith, and to teach them how to know God and how to walk in his ways.